Okay, I have a riddle for you. What is the difference between a jeweler and a jailer? Answer me in the comments below. We'll see who wins.
Vengeance.
Hello, my fellow YouTubers and subscribers, and welcome to my review of The Batman, the 2022 version. So, The Batman, this movie was written and directed by Matt Reeves, who directed the last two Planet of the Apes movies. This is the latest installment in the DC film series. It's not really a cinematic universe anymore, they've kind of given up on that idea, but it is certainly, you know, part of the DC canon, so to speak. Previously to Robert Pattinson, there have been a few other actors that have taken on the Batman role. Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, kind of. And now we get Robert Pattinson. So, let's just dive right in. So the plot of The Batman is as follows. When the Riddler, a sadistic serial killer, begins murdering key political figures in Gotham, Batman is forced to investigate the city's hidden corruption and question his family's involvement. Okay, so The Batman. Now, I was actually really quite looking forward to this movie because I'm a big fan of Matt Reeves, who's the director. Like I said, he directed the previous two Planet of the Apes movies, with War for the Planet of the Apes being one of my favourite movies. Yes, I would go that far. So I thought he was a pretty good choice, and that the script and the direction would be in safe hands with this movie, and I was right. The Batman is a really good film. This is a fantastic, excellent film that really reinvents the franchise and just brings life back to the character again. Nothing against Ben Affleck, but I didn't really care for Ben Affleck's Batman. I just thought, well, his Batman was just so kind of, you know, by the numbers. There wasn't much to him, and also he didn't get the best script, and it's not hard to see why Affleck gave up the role. And, you know, now Robert Pattinson has taken it on. I will admit, when I heard Robert Pattinson was taking on this role, I had my reservations about him. I think since the days of Twilight, Robert Pattinson has really stepped up, and he has become a much better actor than he ever was before. And I was actually surprised that he was actually pretty decent in this movie. Yeah, I'm not going to say he's the best Batman ever. He's certainly not as good for me as Michael Keaton or Christian Bale, but I think I'd rank him in the middle somewhere. I mean, granted, his portrayal of Bruce Wayne is also very, very different to the previous ones. He's less of a philanthropist and more kind of a person struggling with mental health and struggling with the past and everything. He's someone who has a lot of baggage, although he's a younger version of Bruce Wayne. He's still, you know, he's still trying to kind of find out who he is. He's trying to find his identity. There's a lot of self-doubt going on, and I kind of like that aspect of it. And Batman in this movie starts out by saying, with some narration saying that he's been doing this for 2 years and he's still trying to make a difference. And the whole arc of the film is him trying to prove that he's worthy of making a difference and that he can stop whatever's going on. So I appreciated the fact that Matt Reeves always kept the story focused on the character drama and the narrative, and this is not an action movie. There is action in the film, and the action is spectacular, but the central focus is the emotional drama with the characters, and it is riveting. It really is a riveting film from beginning to end. I'm not going to say this movie is perfect. A lot of people are calling this film a masterpiece. Yes, I definitely think it's visually a masterpiece. I think the cinematography is beautiful. Wow, it looks amazing. I mean, it looks like a film that's had so much care put into it. Every frame, every detail is just so good. And I really believe that the world of Gotham in this film is very dark, very bleak, very murky. And then when, you know, the attention to the lighting is there, it looks really colourful. I mean, again, it kind of reminded me a bit of Last Night in Soho, the way they used some of the lights in this film. But obviously this film, there's a lot of rain and it's very dark. Again, they captured the tone and the atmosphere superbly. I cannot fault them there. Credit to Matt Reeves and credit to the cinematographer. Like I said, the action sequences are very good. I particularly like the car chase. That was probably my favourite action scene. There's a lot of action sort of here and there, like the opening scene where Batman is revealed, when he says, vengeance, and then he beats all the criminals up. That's pretty cool. And obviously the climax, which kind of turns into a disaster movie, is also really thrilling. Hands down, the best character in this film is the Riddler. Wow, I have to say, I was blown away by how they used the Riddler. I thought wow, it totally blows Jim Carrey's version out of the water. Paul Dano plays the Riddler, and yeah, he's pretty insane in this film. I mean, the way he's revealed is kind of interesting, but the way he starts out is he's kind of wearing this mask, and he's going on social media and, you know, publicizing everything he's doing, and he's leaving all these clues for Batman in like these greetings cards and everything, and it's really clever. And some of the riddles in the film are quite good, are really quite interesting and clever, and I think they generally made the Riddler feel scary. The Riddler's one of the hardest villains to adapt to the screen because, again, you don't want it to come off as silly, and the amount of times he has to say the riddles, you don't want it to become tedious or monotonous, but they found a great way of utilizing him. There's one particular scene which I thought was very intense, where, you know, he's got the DA at his mercy, shall we say. I won't say any more than that. And he's giving the DA the chance to answer 3 riddles in order to save his life. I'll let you watch the movie to find out how that plays out, but yeah, just some of those scenes, and when he confronts Batman, just brilliant stuff. He's not a physical adversary, but, you know, he causes a lot of problems for Batman mentally, and the way he's executed his plan across the city, I think, is really interesting, and I think that you'll be honestly surprised at how good the Riddler is in this film. I shall say no more. Just go and watch the movie. The rest of the cast are very good. Like I've said, Robert Pattinson is a surprisingly decent Batman and Bruce Wayne. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Selena Kyle, she's good. I don't think she's anything like Michelle Pfeiffer, but I would actually take her maybe over Anne Hathaway. I do like Anne Hathaway from The Dark Knight Rises, but Zoe Kravitz did have a lot of emotional drama to play with in this film, and I think that she did a really good job with that, as well as being the kind of femme fatale of the film. Jeffrey Wright as Lieutenant Gordon, he's pretty good, and there's a nice kind of buddy cop thing going on with him and Pattinson, which I think is good. Colin Farrell as the Penguin, as Oz. If there's anything that is disappointing about this film, for me, it's the Penguin. It's not the fact that he's in it. I don't mind the Penguin being in it, but his design is bland. The makeup is very good, and I didn't know it was Colin Farrell, and I think the accent is incredible. I couldn't tell that it was him, but I just felt like nothing was ever going to compare to Danny DeVito's version. And I'm not saying I wanted something as over the top as that, but something that makes him look more identifiable. He just looked kind of bland and looked like any old thug. He just had some scars on his face. I would have preferred them to maybe kind of make him look slightly more like a creature, I just think it lacked any sort of ambition, but he was good in the movie, don't get me wrong, and he's not the central villain, but he's definitely a big part of the story. John Turturro is great in this movie. John Turturro, who we've seen in some movies like, well, Transformers, but he's doing much better things here as Carmine Falcone, who's one of like the crime bosses, but he's sort of in charge of the city. And there's some interesting plot revelations surrounding him, and I think John Turturro does a really good job. I mean, he's not in it that much. He doesn't have as much screen time as some of the characters, but he's in it enough for you to understand his place in the story, and he's in it enough for himself to make a good impression. Andy Serkis plays Alfred as well. Andy Serkis, I think, is a little underused as Alfred. I do like him very much in the film, but he could have had a bit more to do. It spends most of the film kind of in a hospital bed, which is sad, but I still think he gave Alfred a good performance, and certainly as good a performance as he could have done. I mean, he's played many roles which are motion capture based, but obviously it's nice to see him actually play a physical part, on screen and to use his own face. He's only done it a few times, but no, I like Andy Serkis. He's probably my favourite actor out of any actor that I know. And I think, he does a good job as Alfred. The movie is very long. It is 3 hours long, and I was a little bit concerned about that, thinking, okay, well, I hope that it's worth the runtime. And I do think it is worth that runtime. It is long, and it does move at a brisk enough pace. There is a lot going on, and you're not going to be bored watching this film, because there's plenty of action, there's plenty of plot and story. The mystery is very intriguing. It's a thrilling movie. It really is. There are a couple of moments when I think in the second act it does kind of slow down a bit too much. So perhaps they could have shaved off a little bit. Maybe if it was 2 hours 40 minutes, or if it was 2.5 hours, I think that would have been better. It does feel maybe a tad bit too long, but I still really enjoyed it, and I thought it was very brisk for what it was. Music by Michael Giacchino, wow, the score is amazing, and I think it's definitely one of the best Batman scores that we've heard, and it's actually very fresh and original. It's not trying to emulate any other score that we've heard, and I think it really works well. Like I said, this movie is not, for me, quite up there with the Nolan movies. The Nolan films really reinvented Batman, and it's kind of hard to come close to that, especially with The Dark Knight, which is considered one of the greatest movies of all time, and rightly so. But this is a very good film, and it definitely brings the franchise back on track. I really enjoyed it. It's just a tad bit too long, and I do think the Penguin's design could have been slightly better, but other than that, this is a really, really fantastic film, and it's hugely enjoyable. Fantastic visuals, great cinematography. It's the whole package, and you know, if you want to learn about how to make a film, then this is not a bad example. I think we need more films like this, which do, you know, love to have all the classic elements of a franchise, but you know, do it and display it with such great artistic merit. And that's one thing Matt Reeves is. He's passionate and he cares about what he's making. So please, Matt Reeves, continue to make films, and we need more directors like him. Would I want to see another Batman film with Robert Pattinson? Actually, I wouldn't mind. After watching this, yeah, I'd be okay with it. So overall, I'm going to give The Batman a very strong 9 out of 10. Yeah, I can't quite call it perfect, but it is very good. So anyway, thank you very much all for watching this review. What do you think of The Batman? Please comment down below, let me know what you think of this movie, and please hit the like and subscribe button for more content like this. And stay tuned in the future. I will be looking at the other Batman films again at some point, but I didn't get a chance to do it before I saw this. Anyway, thank you very much all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. Tarnus11. See ya.